Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
Fade in.
Make her gay.
Welcome everybody to the program. It's time for Midnight's Edge After Dark. I am Tom Connors. We have with us Clobbering Times. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Hello, everybody. Friends on the panel, friends in the chat. Hope you all had a great weekend and a good start to the week.
Yes, indeed. It is Tuesday, November 7th.
Yeah.
It is. We also have with us Mr. CC Karaoke from Canada. How you doing?
Yeah, glad to be here. Same old, same old.
Here. Yes, indeed. And as E. Clay Thomason says,
Fade in.
Thank you for write that in a teleprompter.
I know, right? Thank you. What's funny is nobody edited it out. Tripping Orc gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much for that, Tripping Orc. That's a very generous gift to the audience. Speaking of generous, we have the other Canadian here. Are Canadians really generous? I don't know. You're polite, like you said. That's about it.
We're more vicious than we let on.
Yeah, I know. You're like. Yeah. We know what y'all are like. We have Script Doctor here, though. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Still got my cough,
Shift
but otherwise,
doctor.
I'm good. Yeah.
Did you say you still got your cock? What?
Oh
My
my
cough.
God, the
I
cough.
still have a cough. I've had one for nearly 2 months.
Cough. I would hope you'd still have your cock, but that's none of my business.
It's firmly attached.
3 minutes into the show.
Well, fuck it. Hey, Nick. How you doing, Nick Weiser?
Doing good, man. Happy to be here. I saw the news about the Zelda director. Should be interesting to talk about. And this is the week that we're going to find out if the Marvels will be the Batman Robin of the MCU. So looking forward to see how tonight and the week plays out. But thanks for having me here. And well,
yeah, I don't think it'll be that good.
Hello to you, Script, Clobby, CC, and to our ever so excellent chat and our mods. Thanks for all being here.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of chat, we have a couple of super chats already. We got Zontar sending in a Canadian $5, eh? Says, live action killed my hype. Derek Connolly killed my hope. Six Flags Cedar Fair merger has me more hyped. LaRonde and Wonderland with just one pass. Okay. Somebody's going to have to interpret most of this for me.
Wonderland is a theme park in the Ontario area. It used to be part of Paramount Pictures way back in the day.
Oh, like Six Flags. Okay.
Yep. And then and LaRonde is another park, and I guess they're being merged together, which is interesting because if you buy one pass, you can go to both parks.
That's a big thing with skiing too. Skiing, snowboarding.
Yeah.
Buy one pass and you get like 20 different resorts on one. Go wherever you want. It's provided you can get there.
I'm so glad we have Canadians here. So who is Derek Connolly? Someone remind me. Anybody? Bueller?
Don't know. Probably a racer, because given Zontar's affinity for the, or unless it's
Okay.
unless it's an actor.
He says live action killed my hope. Derek Connolly killed him. I mean, you talk about Zelda, maybe.
Could be.
Maybe.
No,
his name's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, me
Derek
either.
Connolly's not ringing a bell. Let's look
Got
it up.
all 5 of us here. Man, you see.
It's a screenwriter.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. Looks like.
Who's he worked with before?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what. He's working on Metal Gear Solid and Intelligent Life coming up, but he's worked on Dominion, Jurassic World Dominion, Rise of Skywalker, Detective
Oh my
Pikachu,
God.
Fallen Kingdom, Kong Skull Island, Monster Trucks,
What a resume.
Jurassic World was his first, and Safety Not Guaranteed was his first 2
Oh, he's with Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, so what is he working on? I'm so confused now. Unless he's talking about Metal Gear Solid, I guess. Maybe.
Maybe he's working on Zelda.
If he is, that's news to me because it's not even on his IMDb, and we haven't got to the story yet. So yeah.
Oh, just
I haven't even read it yet. It just is the only thing that really come across that I've been out all day
This
long.
guy
It's
doesn't ring a
long day.
bell, but even like Jurassic World, that's
His
a Colin
work does.
Trevorrow thing. So he must have been Colin Trevorrow's partner, and then they must have had a splitting out at some point because.
Oh, okay. Zontar in the chat says it was announced minutes ago that he's the writer.
He's the writer for
or
Zelda.
is working on Zelda. I guess I'll assume.
Evidently.
Oh,
that means
that's
writer.
terrible.
It's not much of a director either.
No.
Well, he's not the director, is he?
No,
No.
but the announced one.
The announced one, yeah.
So we have a director, we have a writer. We have a writer with a pretty poor reputation. It
Ish,
looks like
yeah.
he knew the right people and proffered a career out of that, which is good for
I
him in
mean,
that regard.
Jurassic World was kind of a wash because it's basically the same thing as the original movie.
Well, I mean, he was partnered with Colin Trevorrow at that point because
Yeah.
those two worked on Safety Not Guaranteed, which is kind of the breakout movie.
That's
for
what I was going to say. That's his
Trevorrow.
breakout. Yeah. And then
So
Monster
those two were then,
Trucks.
I guess, signed together for Jurassic World. And then I guess when Trevorrow was excised essentially from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, he remained.
He also wrote on the last one, too. Well, wait, I take that back.
By.
He's got story by here, yeah.
Which means that it's because it's a sequel to a.
And that's the same thing with the Star Wars one. He worked with Trevorrow, evidently, on the Star Wars, his version.
Yeah, there you go, the Duel of the Fates one.
Well, it's better than what we got.
All right, well, we'll get back around to that.
Man. I read that.
Well, I liked how it kind of. I will give it this. Would it have been a good movie? No, but would it have at least brought a lot of what we had dealt with up to that point to a bit of a conclusion? Yes. Was it satisfactory? Better than what we got. Like that's about the best I can say. Like was it like mind blowing? No,
better. It's more cohesive.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
that's what I mean. It's more cohesive in that respect. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't rely on the Emperor, which is probably one of the few positives of it.
And it at least works with what came before instead of trying to undo everything that came before, like JJ did in the first 30, 40 minutes of the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Basically. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll have to see on that part, but we'll get back to round to the Zelda news in just a minute, Zontar, so stay tuned. Truth Hope Love says, I really hope Link is still a non-speaker. Well, Link was in the games, did he not speak?
No, but in the
silent
cartoon series he did.
protagonist.
I was gonna say in the series he did.
Yeah. He had his catchphrase.
Point. But really, Batman and Robin did not do as bad as the Eternals did. Not by far.
No,
When adjusted for inflation, yeah, that's true.
That's
But
what I mean. Batman and Robin still did almost $500 million. People forget that.
Yeah,
What sucked for Batman and Robin is the toys didn't fucking sell. And then it was the backlash afterwards. Yeah.
And the backlash killed the Batman Triumphant screenplay that was pretty much all set to go.
And it did make $100 million
Harley
less than
Quinn
forever.
in it, and I think Mad Hatter. They were supposed to both be.
It was
Scarecrow and Scarecrow.
Harley Quinn, and Jack Nicholson was in negotiations to reprise his role as the Ghost of the Joker.
Wow! And to add to Truth Hope Love's super chat, I think the Marvels is going to now be the Eternals in terms of what could be the all-timer. I mean, granted, Eternals is not the all-time lowest because those would go to, believe it or not, the first Captain America and Thor's opened up to smaller numbers, but they had legs. And the Incredible Hulk opened up around like 60 something, and the first Ant-Man had 57 million first weekend. But once again, it had legs. So
Yeah.
the Marvels, if it opens up anything lower than 57, it will be the all-time worst opening weekend for an MCU ever. If it's lower than 54.
Well, and I know, Nick, you make this, and I'm not trying to like dump on you or anything like that. So
I
don't take
know.
it that way.
I
No,
didn't know nothing to take
it's
it.
just the more popular film that most people know as the more, bigger disappointment as far as Batman and Robin goes. But I would make the argument what killed the first run of comic book movies was shit like Judge Dredd, right? And how piss poor
I don't
some of the other,
disagree.
like
don't
some of the other
disagree with
stuff.
that.
Like you had a lot
could-
of like after Batman hit, it was like everybody's like, well, what can we do now that is
Yeah.
just like that? And they tried to make everything again. This is the same problem Zack Snyder did. They tried to make everything like Batman.
Yep.
Like, that was the other problem. So you had Dick Tracy like Batman.
Well, Dick Tracy was had
Dick Tracy was good,
background.
but they tried to sell it
You
like
had the
back.
Tried to
Phantom,
sell
the
like
Shadow.
Batman, but it had the grandiose aspect of it was trying to
Yeah.
emulate a little bit of Tim Burton style, like especially with their backdrops, which they also
Yes.
I think repurposed for the Shadow, which followed out later. Which
Mhm.
again, that's
Another
that's
one
what
that
inspired
kinda-
Batman, and they're like, well, it's a little too much like Batman. It's like, no, it's the Shadow. It's just they ran out of
No,
money
I know,
for
but my
Black
point
Bat.
is you had a lot of these. They like the studio was just like, oh, it's a comic book, make it. Like it was just they were just
Make it,
throwing them
and
out.
make it like
You had
Batman.
Tate Girl and everything else out there. It was like, what the
Oh,
fuck,
yeah, yeah.
man?
No, it's the inverse of the Kathleen Kennedy thing. It's the make it like Batman, and that's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Monkey see, monkey do in Hollywood.
And Darkman was the only one that like was kind of its
Remember
own thing.
Meteor Man?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Meteor Man
Robert
was-
Townsend.
well,
Yeah.
now Meteor Man was too
Man.
light. Like probably
Yeah.
like, now, like in retrospect, people would have been like, well, maybe if you made it more darker, like Batman. You know?
And
So
then
to speak.
Blank Man.
Blank man.
So I guess the stream temporarily went down.
Looks like we're good.
Yeah, looks like we're good. I don't know what this happened last night on Comics Division stream too for a
What? What was it?
brief moment. Just
Really?
the stream went down on for I don't know if it's for everybody or just some people.
Huh.
So let's just put a
I have it
refresh in the chat.
I have it open on both sides, and it's fine.
And say I don't have it playing, but I've got the other side up. But yeah, if it happens again, let us know. But yeah, basically for those who didn't know, I don't know if you can rewind and refresh and go back and if it cuts out in the replay, let me know. Okay, so Darth Loverboy and stuff are saying the stream's still down. Well, that's why I said refresh. So in the chat, hopefully people read that.
Yeah.
Because I can't really tell them if they're not.
No.
But anyway, but yeah, I was just making a point that there was a lot of these random comic book movies that were just trying to be Batman more so than Batman. Because I think if we didn't have all that other crap, my whole point is Batman and Robin would have weathered the storm, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that would have killed things at that point. I think the fact that it was just so many bad movies all at once.
There's not only that, there's some that are really badly marketed. Like The Phantom is actually a really good movie.
Yeah,
But
I liked it.
It has one of the worst trailers I've ever seen of a Paramount film. They had no idea how to market it.
Yeah.
Because what's fascinating about this, if you watch The Phantom, it actually has a lot of tropes that are from the 1940s serials of storytelling and even behaviors. Like everybody in that movie knew, oh, we're doing a serial, but it's just in a feature film form. And they're shooting it like that. And you take a look at how Billy Zane behaves and the type of physical actions he does. It's very much out of like the 1930s, 1940s serials, and it's brilliantly done. And especially the actor who's escaping my name right now, he plays the main villain, the Xander
Treat
Drax.
Williams.
Treat
Yeah.
Williams. Treat Williams nailed it too. He was very boisterous and just like the old actors of that time. Like they all got it. Even Catherine Zeta-Jones.
It was very faithful to the original Lee Falk strips, and they were.
Yeah.
Billy Zane grew up a fan because he was from Australia, I believe, wasn't he? And,
he was very familiar with it, even though like Lee
Yeah, it
Falk
was
is from the U.S., but like the Phantom took off in Australia and Europe.
It was
Like,
huge in Australia for the longest time.
oh
and of
God,
course-
yeah, they've taken ownership. They've adopted him essentially.
Yeah, and I do really like that movie. Simon Windsor, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And on that note, for those who are just joining us,
Oops.
or those who came in late, I should say. That's what it is. Camelbot Killer says Nintendo will protect their IPs from woke idiots. Well, we can hope so. We can hope.
Yeah.
Is this going to still be with Universal?
No, this is actually going to be a Sony production.
Interesting, because
so
Universal
that
has
was-
been trying to make The Legend of Zelda since 2008.
Evidently, they couldn't work it out over there, and they took it
Yeah.
over to Sony, or Sony had something that we'll get into. We'll see if it says anything in the story. We're just about there. I just want to get caught up on these super chats. Truth Hope Love says, "What do you guys think of Detective Pikachu?" I never watched it. I never was a Pokemon fan.
Never seen it.
I saw it. It was all right. It was not bad. I mean, as far as those type of movies go, I mean, it's definitely a step in the right direction as far as what you want to do as far as Pokemon for a movie. So it definitely was lacking Ash. And as someone who played the original Blue and Red games on Game Boy back in the day, that definitely for me was a bit of a point off. But other than that, it wasn't bad. And a lot of characters were in it. So yeah, if you're, it's made for Pokemon fans. If you're into Pokemon, give it a watch. If you're a normie, you probably wait for something else.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got Truth Hope Love, who also says audio skipped at one point between my super chats about Link and Eternals. Well, as I was saying, maybe if you didn't catch this part, rewind back. Let me know. You don't have to super chat me, but just let me know at me in the chat or one of the mods to let us know if it still skips in the replay, guys, because I want to know about that, because I know the reason why it happened. Because last night we discussed this, because it happened on Comics Division, and it's happened on a few other podcasts that have been on When a Culture's Sunday night. It happened as well. That's what it was, because he did not have that stream monetized, and all of a sudden, midway through our stream, we lost 500 viewers out of nowhere, and we got a mid-roll credit.
Huh.
And,
Two of them, actually.
Ad or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, stream is not monetized. And I clicked on it, and I got an ad right away. And I'm like, well, I got an ad.
Oh, yeah.
And so what this whole thing's about. Yeah. Go ahead, Script. I was going to say, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. YouTube has a brand new compelled ads system on their website and also for their phone app. So if you have some sort of ad blocker on there, it will lock you out and it will bounce you. And even if you temporarily turn it off, it will still bounce you for having it. It's basically punishment for your add-on, for your web browser add-ons or your application add-ons.
So yeah, it's something to do with that. And I think it's also mucking with some people's. See, we had just lost a few. I think we lost a few viewers. Or did we? No, maybe not. But we did lose a few when it happened, and we gained them back, I think. Yeah, sorry about that, Truth, Hope, Love. But hopefully it caught most of the audio, so you can go back and listen to it. I kind of wrapped it all up into one little segment there afterwards too. So hopefully you don't feel gypped out of your answer there. But on that note, let's get right into this story, because this didn't necessarily break the internet. We've all known this thing has been in the works for a while. In fact, WDW Pro had talked about it. I had heard something similar-ish, I think, at one point about, something going down with it. I think, and Script has pointed out, they've been trying to make a Zelda movie since way back when.
Yeah, for 15 years that I've known about it. I even think that they got Avi Arad in as a producer for a period there. Oh, yeah.
That's all they needed.
They wanted to cross
that is a red flag. Just mentioning his
it's
name.
for the toy stuff, right? Because Avi worked in the toy industry too, which helped him get into Marvel and whatnot. Which,
but he's also the reason Spider-Man 3
do.
Yeah, no, he's a bit of a wild card on that point. But all right, let's read this real quick. So Wes Ball, Wes Ball will direct the live action. So it will be live action feature for Sony. Legend of Zelda is heading to the big screen after Universal's $1 billion hit adaptation Super Mario Brothers movie. Nintendo is developing a project with Sony Pictures Entertainment. Wes Ball, the director behind the Maze Runner trilogy, will helm the live action feature with Sony distributing. Nintendo and Avi Arad Productions Inc. are behind the film that will be co-financed by the gaming giant and Sony.
So Avi's still attached. Oh, he's
still attached. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of red flags. For starters, Wes Ball is an art department head. He works in digital graphics. And I've seen some of those Maze Runner films. They're not well directed. They're actually kind of paint by number directed. There's no auteurship.
Isn't that the one series where they either didn't finish it or they finished the third one like straight to video or some shit like that? I can't remember now.
I think it was the last two that were almost straight to video. The first one,
something like that. Yeah,
nobody watched it. has one of the Hemsworth brothers, the not funny one, in it, I think. And Shailene Woodley, who Hollywood was really trying to push her to A-list status, but just didn't tick for whatever reasons. But no, what we got here is we've got basically a less experienced Gareth Edwards directing.
For one of the greatest franchises on earth, it's not inspiring confidence. Could maybe get somebody with a bit more experience.
Listen, Zelda's been a tough nut to crack. Again, like I said, I've heard about them trying to make this movie since 2008. That's 15 years. And guess what?
It'll be a lot harder to make.
You, all the money they spent on that is being allocated, is being considered expenses for whoever purchased the rights from. It was at Universal at the time that I first heard about it. If it's over at Sony now, they probably made a deal to get all that, and it would probably cost them more than what Sony was willing to pay. But with the success of Super Mario Brothers in the theaters recently, I think they were happy to say.
Unless isn't Avi set up over at Sony? Maybe that's why.
Well, he moved around because he was at Sony and then he left and
he
do his own thing. Then he's bounced around here and there, but primarily he's worked with Sony. Sony's nearly the only one company that kind of gives him.
That's what I mean. Because I mean, if his name's attached to it still, that means he's been a part of it for how long now? You said.
Well, I heard he got involved around the time of the Amazing Spider-Man. So what was that? 2011?
Holy shit! Yeah. So yeah, that sounds about right. So maybe since that 2008 version you said, it's probably
been over at Sony since then. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking here. Is that they may have tried to get it over at Universal, but maybe Avi was the one standing in the way, or Sony was like, no, we got to deal with him, and who knows? We don't know. We may never find out.
Or Avi was one of the guys that facilitated the deal. Like
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
He could have been the guy. It's like whoever's handling over at Universal and doing it right. I can, and I'm Avi Arad. I helped make Spider-Man trilogy. Blah blah blah. And who knows? The politics behind it would be fascinating.
Well, you got to think about this for a minute, though, because that's the thing that really kind of strikes me more than anything. This normally wouldn't matter, except Sony and Nintendo are direct competitors in the video game industry. Like, that's the main thing.
Well, so, that's the trick, right? It's Sony, but I mean, the subsidiary is Columbia Pictures.
It is, yeah.
So that's how they're going to try and separate it. But yeah, the thing is, the properties that Sony has, which are like Metal Gear, Solid,
which is in the other one that sounds like the same writer that we were just talking about was working on already. So yeah,
like he's got that as the upcoming. I'll just say this: the pedigree for the people involved that they've announced in this article is not looking good. It's looking kind of inbred, if you ask me.
Yeah, and honestly, you know what? I wonder if Avi isn't part of the problem here, because I would think after what they just did with Mario, the obvious move would not be to make a live action Zelda, because that did not work. As much as I love the original Super Mario Brothers, guess what? Just didn't work. But guess what did work? When you did an animated movie where the characters looked exactly like they do in the games, the world felt like it did in the modern games, and I think you're going to run into the same issue here with Zelda, because guess what? We are so fucking far removed from anything. Like Zelda and Mario are not even close to being on the same level, right?
No.
Yes, there was a time when Zelda 2 was like, I think, the highest selling game of all time, but then I think Mario Brothers 2 or 3 beat it.
Number 3 beat it.
Yep. Yeah, whichever one it was that came afterwards.
Was featured in the movie The Wizard. I mean,
yeah, I know. I can't remember the order they came out, but I just know at that time they were bouncing back and forth. But then it just came to a point where Mario just kind of left Zelda in the dust, right? Like,
they can also be very
until the late 90s. And yeah.
They can also be very different movies to make. I think in a way, Super Mario Brothers would have been much easier because you can lean into the Easter eggs, and that's a lot of fun. With Zelda, you know, some of the Zelda games are definitely more animated, cartoon, but some of them are much more serious. You know, Twilight Princess, as a fan of the series, I would love to see a live action Twilight Princess
for live action then? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's also a completely different approach. You would need to lean into the lore, and you would need to take it seriously. And you would need somebody who is competent enough at what they're doing in every department to pull that off. You like, if you don't do that well, people will get on you very, very quickly.
I honestly can't understand why and look, you may be right that live action will work better for Zelda, but at the same time, I see this coming out just like the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Kind of
if it's like that, that's
well, it's kind of interesting that Hollywood Reporter is not mentioning that Wes Ball is also the director of the upcoming Planet of the Apes film that's scheduled next year.
Oh, the new one, the one that they got out talking about right here. I didn't know that either. Okay, so it helps if I look them up.
Paint
And
by
I saw that
numbers, I
trailer,
don't
which
think
was
it's
okay.
not.
But just, sorry, CC.
Paint by numbers is not going to make $1 billion here.
No,
and that's going to be the challenge.
I just wonder if because my point was, because it was asked, was it before the stream or was it while we were on the stream? Somebody said something about Link not talking. Because I think in the games, like we were saying, like, yeah, he doesn't talk in the games. He clearly did in the series, right? We just mentioned that before.
Yeah, it was on this. Well, I mean, he doesn't talk in the sense that you talk for him. Essentially, you select certain things in certain parts of the games. There's like, oh, hey, how are you doing? It's like, what do you want to buy?
He doesn't have a voice
this.
during the cutscenes or anything like that in the games.
I don't recall any voice acting, but there's you got to select.
I have not played a Zelda game since Zelda 2.
Yeah.
So you guys got to keep this in mind. I'm sorry. That's why I'm asking all these fucking questions.
Yeah, I've only ever played the first two for the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo one, the first Super Nintendo one.
Never played that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're the character. You of course you're talking. They just don't have any cutscenes, I think, with Link talking.
Okay, they say
typically the video games are silent protagonist, generally speaking. Yeah.
See, that's the thing is, I think you sent this to me, Shinatsky. You guys ever seen this? Somebody went and took Beavis's voice and dubbed it in over Link in the old cartoon.
Really?
Yeah, we'll watch that in just a few minutes here. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And it works. It's so brilliant. Okay, we'll get to that. But like, yeah, it sounds more like, I don't know, that just grunts and yells. I don't understand either. Yeah, because I thought I remember him talking, but regardless, Miyamoto continued. We have now officially started the development of the film. Nintendo itself heavily involved in the production. It will take time until its completion, but I hope you look forward to seeing it. That sounds like either a translation or...
Yeah, that's a translation.
Ball made his feature directorial debut with The Maze Runner, blah, 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 blah. Who fucking cares? They do mention the Planet Apes here.
Oh, there you go.
And then Zelda is a crown jewel of Nintendo Empire. Is it the crown jewel? I would say Mario's its crown jewel. Anyway, Nintendo Empire that dates back to the first game in '86, spanning thousands of years, and fantasy-inspired games usually tell the tale of a boy named Link who must save the kingdom of Hyrule, as well as the princess, the titular Zelda, who sometimes is a hero in her own right. Link must defeat the evil Ganon, who seeks to collect the 3 pieces of the Triforce in order to obtain the ultimate power. Yeah, that's the only other... I did watch some of the cartoon, obviously. I should mention that before, too. But,
yeah.
The games
Zelda actually did stuff in the cartoon.
Yeah. The games are known for pushing the boundaries of both story and the technology with blah, blah. Yes, it's just more stuff about the game.
Well, it's true that, as a series, I mean, you could get into that whole conversation about which is bigger, Mario or Zelda, but Zelda does have Ocarina of Time going for it, and Breath of the Wild. It has a history of entries that...
well, that new game did do really well. I know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not only that, Zelda's Nintendo game came in like a gold casing too. Like they really lauded that game.
Like I say, you could probably do a whole show about which property is bigger, but
well,
my property is bigger.
We know yours.
So
I don't think there's any debate on, if Mario or Zelda's bigger, but Zelda's clearly
that sounded bad on context.
Yeah.
There's no debate over who Mario or Zelda's which is bigger.
Zelda has no penis.
Oh, that's perfect.
Zelda knows the answer though.
Oh, hot dog. Oh,
no. Wow.
You see Grace Randolph is off to go see the Marvels, guys.
Oh, good for her.
I wonder what her score is going to be. Oh, I think
so what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
Well, we're going to know in a few hours.
I know. She'll say she liked the Marvels. That's going to be the dumb shit she said this week. I got like 10 minutes of this shit now. I only seen like little clips of it. We ain't going to be able to watch the whole thing, but This is kind of fucking funny if you haven't seen this before.
Show it.
The Legend of Beavis.
Yeah. How's it going? Yeah, nice boobs. Hey! Get out of here, damn it! I want to see the chick. I'm like busy. Go away. No! Cut it out, butthole. Get the hell out of here.
He's got peace in the mirror.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah. It's a fucking lightsaber.
Oh my god.
See, I hope they
Check it
incorporate
out,
that
behind
aspect
the
of the movie. That was
Yeah, throw it out the
All he wants to do is see her. Yeah.
Excuse me, dick. You might die. I'm probably gonna make out with her first before we, get down. Dumbass, it won't work that way. Don't you know anything about making love? Beth ought to do the trick. Beavis, you're about to be injured. He's fallen and he can't get it up. That's the kind of guy I am.
Quick kiss.
What the hell are you doing here?
Daddy! Gavin's after Daddy!
I thought of something. Yeah. Go for it, dude. Do it. Don't touch me, asswipe. Beavis, I'm a little disappointed in you. Later, dude. Slap him in the butt.
Slap him in the butt. Oh, shit.
Whoa. Sure.
Oh, God.
Definitely going to hell.
Holy crap.
Link, speak to me!
Booby, booby.
You're fine! Obviously.
Damn it. I'm supposed to get some.
You're captured by Gavin!
I think I gotta go to the bathroom.
We can't watch the rest of it. I don't want to get nailed.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Whoever, yeah, the guys that did that though, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Here's the link. I'll put that in the chat here for you guys.
Oh, good
I'll
lord.
later.
That's
A
great.
masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Jesus. I love it.
Wow.
Lord, that was good.
My face hurts.
Lord. How did you get a gift? I believe it was Tripping Orc who gave away 5 gifts earlier, Griffin. So there you go. Anybody who got one, you can thank him for that. And yes, that was pretty funny. I want that movie. Tripping Orc also says, other than the obvious answer of George Clooney, who would play Link? It's a good question. They'll probably end up trying to get like Tom Holland or some shit.
Depends on what age they want to go to with these
Right.
characters.
Isn't Link supposed to be a lady?
No, you're
Zelda's
thinking
a
of
lady.
Zelda.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm getting.
Dude looks like
I'm
a
not a
lady.
Zelda expert at all, so Okay. I didn't speak.
Gosh, Dylan Mulvaney.
There you go.
Ah,
Sony has a hard on for Tom Holland, so I would not be surprised if he's one of the first people on their list. He wouldn't be a horrible choice, but he's getting a little old for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends
I
on
don't
what
mind
they're gonna
him,
do. Is he going to
but
be like
I
an
don't-
actual soldier with attitude, or is he going to be a wimp?
I don't find him bad at all, but I just don't think. I mean, granted, from what we know, and I only know so little of the character. I don't look at Zelda and imagine Tom Holland like at all.
Good, because Zelda's a chick.
Zelda's a girl, right?
Oh, sorry, Link. I'm getting these characters mixed up. See, my normie
I'm not even sure
is
anymore.
showing really bad with this.
Wait, who am I?
Really bad. I meant Link because I did see the report about him playing Link, and there was like a photo online of what someone made a quick AI photo of Tom Holland as Link. And Monster Mangler posted Link equals no, that I could see, even though it's unfortunately he's a
little old. Yeah. And see, when I see Link, I think of a smaller individual and that's why I went to Tom Holland, not just because of this whole Sony thing, but I'm thinking of somebody a little bit more smaller stature to where he's not like the biggest guy, right? Like that's part of his charm.
Yeah, he's not.
He thinks he's a lot bigger than he is, at least in the cartoon versions.
Okay.
So I mean, if you want to go with that kind of version of Link, where he's a little bit more of a tough guy, but he's not as big as he'd like to be, you want to go with somebody like that. Knowing them, they'll pick somebody like Ezra fucking Miller or something like that.
No, he's not working in the industry anymore.
No, I know, but Chris Hemsworth's like way too big. Like I said, somebody said Chris Hemsworth. Like, yeah, that's way too big.
Yeah, Ravnab in the chat has.
Don't even.
I mean,
don't
early
even put that.
20s is about as old as.
Yeah, that's what I would think too. But don't even put this in the ether, Sander. Hey, princess, I'm here to save you. I would have got here sooner, but I had some Pineapple Express.
About 10 years ago, we would have laughed and said that would never happen. That's funny, though. Now we're like, wow, that actually doesn't sound out of the realm of possibility.
Well, we all know Lizzo's going to end up playing Zelda, so.
It's a good diversity hire.
Oh, the bowling ball, right?
Who?
You said Lizzo, right? Isn't
Lizzo,
that the one who's shaped like a bowling ball, or is that someone else?
She could play Babam
right now.
I was. She might be.
No, I mean, like regardless of the joke, I think she's blacklisted right now because of all those.
She might
antics.
be.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. Shinatsky says Zelda was heavily influenced by Ridley's Legend. I can see that.
Wow.
Many Dragon says the reason why Zelda is hard to do because none of the games will work as one movie. It would have to be original story for it to work. Well, that's even worse then because these guys got to do something original. Fuck.
Imagining modern day Hollywood with the current crop of writers that we got that they let in, trying to be writing a story that revolves around having them write lore based mythology. I don't see that happening with Zelda.
You're gonna need a really good writer who
they don't
can lean into the lore. And
the only thing you could really do is you could do a single movie about, say, Ganon discovering the Triforce, but you don't reveal that it's the Triforce. Just one magical item that is thought to have been lost, and then it's retrieved, and then you do a mid-credit scene saying, "Oh, there's two more out there somewhere," but you make the story self-contained in the fact that he finds one and it's stolen from him or liberated from him by Zelda and Link's alliance. That's the simplest story you can do, and if it hits, you can continue on with gathering all three and whatever that means. But no, you got to organize into very self-contained, simple stories because Zelda games are very long by comparison to normal story mechanics. And they're complex. There's the light world. There's a dark world if you're going in that route. There's Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time. So you're time traveling or you're changing your powers based on what type of mask you find. There's lots of complications in the lore here.
Majora's Mask could work really well. I don't see them going that route, but that's one that could actually translate.
Yep.
you have a contained area, contained cast in one town, and a very contained timeline. Yeah, could see that one. Or, I mean, again, if they wanted, I'd say, again, I don't think they're going to go full dark mode with this, right? Otherwise, I would say just have Ganon find the Triforce and make his wish, and that be the start of the movie. But then they would have to really follow up on the dark side. And
yeah, it'd be all in the dark world,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm going to guess they'll be pressured to go a bit more family rated here. Which even not that you can't with the dark side of Zelda, but you know, that's why that's where we were talking about earlier about live action Zelda kind of works for adult Zelda, you know, like early 20s Zelda, whereas Wind Waker might be better served as an animated movie, which they're not doing. So I'm not sure exactly what their intention is. Just that, as you said, I'm not impressed with the talent they've announced so far. You know.
Yeah. Well, let's keep moving here. We got Steven Lanuto who says Link absolutely needs to be an epic hero for this movie to work. If they try to undercut him in any way, the outrage will be overwhelming. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the modern day problem, right? Like you can't even have, you know, like a Chris Pratt or Chris Pine or somebody like that play that character now, because look at what happened with Dungeons and Dragons. I enjoyed the film, but I see where some people's gripes come in that movie. And I could see them playing Link because that's the thing, him coming off like a buffoon now would not work the same way it would have 10 years ago.
Well, I mean,
especially
in the cartoon, he's a buffoon only with regards to his love for Zelda, but everything else he's actually badass in, and that's a fine thing to reconcile. But I think there's a lot of people
which I don't trust today Hollywood to do. Yeah.
Well, even if they did it right, I think there's enough battered wife syndrome out there that they wouldn't see it for what it was. If they did it right, I don't think they'd see it.
My hopes are kind of like really low for this, so it could surprise me. I mean, but a lot of what we're hearing is just not helping.
No, with Avi Arad involved, I'm like calling it out. It's like, no, sorry.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Melodic Method sends in $10. Thank you. And says, I didn't know I needed Legend of Beavis in my life until tonight. Thank you, Tommy. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Mr. Buttcrack Media sends in a super sticker. I think it's a thumbs up. Let me double check here. It is a pooper sticker. It's a pooper sticker. Thank you for that pooper sticker. Of course, it's coming from your butt crack, I'm assuming. That's nasty. Nasty. ActionCom says, see the Reacher season 2 trailer yet? No, because I've never watched Reacher season 1, but I'm sure somebody on this panel has.
I saw it.
All right, go ahead and give your feelings, guys.
How did it look?
Well, of course, I loved season 1. It looked pretty cool. I don't know. I'm not gonna judge by a trailer. There was one thing in there that was a little bit made me go but I hope it's great. I'm looking forward to it. I love the first season.
I've been meaning to watch it, and I'm finally gonna now that this second season trailer is now up. Now that'll give me motivation to finally get on it, because I've been wanting to watch it, and I just have put it off for so long. So that's good to know. That motivates me.
Oh, I really love the first season. So
first season was really good. Second season, the trailer, I like the premise of the plot, but there is that one new character they brought in from the team that gives me pause.
Are you thinking are you talking about the one that is his female friend from last season who was only lit it toward the end, and now she's all over the trailer?
Well, I was fine with her and how often and how limited she was in the first season. If she's in it more, that's going to be a problem. But also the white chick that they brought in too, that other white chick, who looks like she might be a problem as well, and which is a consequence of basically the success of season 1 Reacher, because Salky wasn't actually paying attention to the series when they were starting it, and I hope she didn't see the second season either, because it's actually a really good interpretation of the Jack Reacher books, which they're fine. Yeah. They're not mind blowing, but they've earned their success and place in history. So yeah, it's I'm hoping the second season is good.
He looks like he's still he's himself, at least in the character. So he looks like he's got a lot of cool stuff to do. I'm just hoping. My suspicion again, the character who was like his friend had helped him a little bit. The woman that was in the last couple of episodes last season. Mm-hmm. She's okay in that. I wasn't really fond of her character last year, and it looks like she's all over this season from the trailer. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It could be really, really good. It looks like it's got a lot of the same cool stuff as the first season. So let's hope they're just modern
That's
day
on
makes you suspicious.
Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Okay,
Taylor-
I actually do have the Amazon app, and I do use it frequently because I watched Invincible yesterday, the season 2 premiere, which I really enjoyed. So,
Oh
sweet.
yeah, gotta check that out.
It was good. And also, this is a big shocker. The one character I had a huge problem with in season 1 worked like a completely different character in this first episode.
Oh, you mean
You know
Amber?
which character I'm talking? Yep, Amber.
Well,
Was a
Amber was
completely
awesome in the
different
comics.
character.
Yeah,
she was. I like
And
Amber.
then they
in the
race
first
swapped
season.
and turned her into a bitch.
Yeah, no, oh yeah. No, I watched this first episode, and yeah, she was a kind, understanding, nurturing, trying to work with Mark through his life and his upbringing.
Weird.
I was like, wow. Trust me when I say I was so like hesitant just because of her character. I knew everything around her was gonna be good, but she could take that one character in that season could take you out of it at times.
Yeah.
But no, she worked great in the episode. Granted, she wasn't in a lot of the first episode. It was really Mark Grayson heavy, which is fine. No complaints there. This show is called Invincible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was off to a good start. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, like Amber is eventually dumped, so I think they were making.
Oh yeah, for Adam Eve.
That it would be easier for fans to be like, okay, yeah, he should be with Eve.
Yes.
But now they might be going a bit more authentic. I hope they go a bit more authentic to the comics because you liked Amber and the way that they ended their relationship in the books was actually kind of endearing. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't. It was a mature type of breakup, which was nice. I think what they get to the point where they introduce a certain female Vitramite and what she does to Invincible, people are going to might decry woke, and that could be bad for audiences.
Could be if they do that.
I mean,
There's
the thing
a
is,
possibility. You can't rule it out.
The way they did it, it was fine in the books, but like, yeah, if they do that, it's it's going to cause some backlash.
Yeah.
ActionCom continues, though. Alan Richardson has come a long way since Blood Drive from Sci-Fi.
Oh no, he got start before Blood Drive. He was the first Aquaman in 2005.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was in Aquaman.
That's right.
He was now the dude's a beast.
Oh yeah.
Oh dude, he should be like if he was Aquaman in the new DC films, women would be lining up because that guy has not lost in 20 years. He has not lost any muscle or definition to his body. Like he's maintained his physique for 20 years. That's really hard for an adult man
Just
to
give
do.
him a few one-liners and he can pull off an action hero flick. Seriously. Like, oh man, he would be perfect for an action hero flick. He's got the build, he's got a cool name, he's got the look. Just throw some one-liners, give him the guns, and man, people will flock to that. And women will flock to it.
Oh yeah.
Women will flock to it just to see him kick ass. Bet. Anyways, carry on, Tom.
Sergeant Point Blank says Randall Wallace should write Zelda. LOL. Randall Wallace
make Link an ancestor of his, just like he did William Wallace, and completely lied about that character. Made a good movie, but yeah.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah, he's the Braveheart guy.
Oh, okay. Waltman says the Metal Gear Solid games are already movies as it is. And sadly, I'm reminded that we're 1 year away from everyone to go psychotic.
I understand that reference from the game.
I didn't know there was Metal Gear Solid movies already.
No,
the games are like
because the games, the cutscenes are so extensive and the way they go on, it plays like a movie.
Yeah. Stephen Lanudo says a Link's story arc is similar to Luke Skywalker or Frodo stepping into the world more perilous than they imagined, but bravely going forward. Yeah, and I was kind of looking into this other thing here, and one of the other stories talks a little bit more about the Hyrule stuff in the newer game that came out recently. So yeah, they'll probably emulate that style a bit more, I'd imagine. Yeah, so it seems a bit like taking it a bit more seriously than what I'm used to anyway. So, yeah. DCB Titan says problem with doing Zelda in the Dark World is that we'd have to do stuff with Anthro Rabbit Link if they want to stick to the lore. Well,
yeah.
I don't know what the hell that is, but okay.
It's diversity is what it is, I suppose. You can pitch it that way.
What the fuck is an anthro rabbit?
In Link to the Past, for example.
Anthropomorphic rabbit?
World,
like Bugs Bunny? Yeah.
I guess.
What's up, Zelda?
Yeah.
Yeah, looking kind of cute in your dress there.
Ain't I a stinker?
You're despicable. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is otherwise. Sorry, DCB Titan. I am not a gamer, and that is clearly being shown on my bad take on Twitter when I was bitching about the new RoboCop game.
I mean, I guess the idea of the dark world in Zelda is that it's more reflective of a person's darker inner desires, and which would require some imagery if you really wanted to do it.
So he's become a rabbit. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Infinite Wanderer says, Tom, if you don't know what an anthro is, save yourself and never look it up. I kind of have an idea. It's probably a furry thing. Definitely what's up, Doc. Yeah, I know I should be more of a gamer. I'm just not. Pac-Man, sure. Mario Brothers, the older ones, yeah. GTA, yeah, okay. A lot of this other stuff, though, I just can't get into it. Too much of a learning curve for me.
Yeah, you can't just turn one, and if it's a console game or something like that, you can't just turn it on and play it. You got to go through all this crap, like 2 hours just to get to start playing the game.
That's just to start playing, yeah. Then
yeah. Any games about, even the Madden when I used to play it, the later Madden games, it's ridiculous. And I don't want to be online. I don't want to be on PlayStation Online if I just want to play a damn game.
Mm-hmm. And then there's some. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I say that's a whole other thing. I don't want to get in.
You're a bit more of a gamer, though, CC. Go ahead and counter if you want.
Like on the one hand, it's been a great year for video games. We've had some fantastic games this year, but there are, and you mentioned Madden in particular. There's a dark side to video games in the last decade or whatever, however long, of deceptive practices and just cash grabs. It's like Madden will just take last year's game and resell it for $90, and then you get the whole pay to play content. It's like, now you can spend $90 to buy the game, but if you want to actually be able to play the game, you have to get the in-store purchases from the online cash shop, and it'll take you about 500 hours of your real life time to play if you don't pay us $1,000 of your real money to shorten the amount of time it takes you to beat the game by buying advancement potions from the cash shop. Or, hey, you really want this really cool piece of gear? You got about a 0.1% chance of getting it on this roulette wheel that you spend $10 per roll to try and roll. I mean, it's preying on addiction, basically. Yeah, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah. There's some bad sides to modern gaming for sure.
Yep.
And now that they've also taken more practices with the stories, like they're doing with Spider-Man, and inevitably, and it's nothing more than a prediction on my end, they're gonna do it to Wolverine too. Like I posted on the Twitters yesterday. If you're really tired of the bait and switches, do not fall for it with the Wolverine game, because even if the Wolverine game, let's just say, is good, it will only still be a setup to set up Laura McKinney's X-23. They're doing it with Miles Morales. Do not put it past them to do it with Laura McKinney. So if you're tired of it, you got to actually show you're tired of it. Otherwise, well, they're going to keep on working there and keep on doing the same trash at Insomniac.
I see in the chat people bringing up EA, and that's I was definitely
EA's horrible.
EA is the Disney of video games.
They're terrible.
They gobble up other properties and destroy them.
Right. They've got the reason why their Madden sucks is because EA has a monopoly on the NFL property, and no one can do any other kind of football game at all. Not even.
Wow.
They even do Tecmo Bowl these days.
Nope, they can't do anything.
That video game.
They can't do any. There used to be a couple different games out there other than Madden years and years ago, but now there's no one can get a license with the NFL to do that. Nobody wants to make a game they know they can't compete with it. It's just too big. It sucks.
Jeez. Yeah, I used to be a fan of the Madden games especially when I used to be into football, but then I started getting sick of winning 100-0. And well, that has a limit on things when you're winning 100-0 every time.
Well, you consider the highest level. I mean, you can beat that level. You're really good.
Oh, I was
Coach
actually
cheat
really
shit.
good. Yeah, I was really good at it. I think I stopped playing around the end of the PS2 days, right before PS3 launched. That's when I was just like, okay, they have no desire to do anything but change the rosters with these games.
And they always had that stupid, like, it's in the game. No, I see scrap. That's crap all the time. This thing does is not in the game.
Sport, yeah.
Yeah, you have to pay for it separately.
It's in the game. Yeah, but I mean, in my case, I mean, it's in the game in the sense that no, things don't like that never happen in the game. You say it's all realistic. That's their big tagline. It'll feel, it does. No.
I remember NFL Blitz on the 64.
Yeah,
that was a blast. Oh, Blitz was so much
fun. That was
Mm.
fun.
Yeah.
Or even just a game where it has made up teams and you can just do your own thing, but they won't do that. In fact, Madden took away the creative team thing about 6-7 years ago, whatever, when you could create your own teams, which I used to love doing that. And they figured, no. The NFL doesn't like that. So,
oh, wow.
Anyway, so nobody will get.
I'm surprised Disney doesn't try to buy EA. That would just be like the most meta owning of owning.
I was going to say, weren't they just
Yeah.
in some talks of that or something or other not too long ago?
They're good for each other.
I was going to say, I thought there was something going on there. But Shinatsky makes an argument for the RoboCop. He says the RoboCop game is actually pretty good. I mean, I'm going to tell you this right now. I got a few things to say about it. You want me to break it down? I'll break it down.
Have you played it? Oh, cool.
Yeah. I got through one fucking level.
Oh, no.
It's first person shooter. That's a subjective thing. I'll give you that. I hate first person shooter. I hate that they don't give me the option to go out of first person shooter. Because here's a dumb thing about that. Speaking of like loot crates and buying shit, you can buy other outfits for RoboCop, like the RoboCop 2 blue uniform and stuff like that. What the fuck's the point if you're a first person shooter? You can't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that to me is the biggest fucking jip in the world. So I can watch it during the cutscenes. Well, guess what? The cutscenes are not that fucking great either. The acting is stilted and the animation is horrible. RoboCop's legs look like they're detached half the time.
Oh my God.
I get it. A lot of people are happy about this game. Good for you. I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed.
Wow.
I was like,
I'm glad I checked.
I have no free roam whatsoever to be RoboCop. I would like to just be RoboCop running around like GTA, solving crimes and taking down perps. Sure, there can be a storyline in the background, but I hate being forced into this thing, not being able to get out of first-person view. I die constantly because first-person view is a pain in the ass to navigate. And I know that's a me problem. Cool. But at the end of the day, the story hasn't really enthralled me all that much either. I've only gotten through like one level, so I can't say too much more than that. But at the end of the day, if all I'm going to do is play it just for the story, I might as well just watch fucking cutscenes online, in which case, I would just rather have another movie.
Yeah.
I know you could shoot everybody in the dick, but guess what? It takes you 20 fucking shots to kill anybody, too. RoboCop's gun should be blowing people's fucking limbs off left and right. Yeah, it happens, but they still take forever to die. And they just sit there and chuck fucking bombs at you that you can't fucking see because they're down below you and you got to either look down and get shot to try and do something about it or try and move, and you can't move fast enough to get far enough away from it so it don't damage you.
Well, I mean, RoboCop doesn't move fast anyway, so.
I get that, but he's a lot weaker in this fucking game than he is in a fucking movie, too. Like, he's a bullet sponge in the fucking movie. You can just sit there and bounce him off him. In this game, you get hit too many times, you die. I get that's part of the game, but like, I don't know. I'm a little upset by it. I was kind of upset by the recent Ghostbuster game too, and I didn't get into it so much. It wasn't what I was hoping for.
Wow.
But I'm not a gamer, so my critique should not really matter at the end of the day, I guess.
Well, I did play a Ninja Turtles game recently from an arcade that was based on the
That was
2012
good.
cartoon. It was really fun.
See, I like that
really
one.
fun. Dude, they had it at the arcade, and bro, it ruled. I was like, this is fun. I want to be here all day. And
That's what I
got
love about the old
now.
games. You could like
It
Clobby was
played
just
like
saying,
the
you could
old
just
games.
throw
It
them
played
in and
much
you
like the
play.
older
It's a
games.
great
Yeah.
example. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
it played
I've
much
just-
like those ones.
If I have a PS4 and there's no game you could get where you just can't buy it and shove the thing in there and play it. You got to go on their stupid network and do all this other kind of crap.
Mhm.
That's
That's the other
Uh,
side of it too. Yep.
updates
Yeah,
and all this kind of garbage. I hate this
that's-
crap.
I do too. I hate that. It's like, yeah, I know I'll do it, but it's just like, come
Yeah.
on, really? All this just to get playing a game? That's like not everyone. They gotta keep in fact that not everyone has the time to always do those things all the time. So that just kind of like you
Yeah.
kind of disenfranchise people a little bit. At least people who can only play like part time, or even people who are just maybe not even as technologically aware. Like if you're really trying to get more types of people involved, you got to keep those types of factors in mind. But
Well, and
go ahead.
I got somebody backing me up here with Emperors who said Tom's criticisms are valid. It's largely linear. Animation needs some serious polish. Oh yeah. I'm just glad they didn't cuck RoboCop, which is fine, but that shouldn't be a pass. Right? And then Fanto says, well, movies are pretty linear. Well, I'm playing a game though. Right? That's kind of the whole point of putting something into a game is I should be able to explore the world. Right? Like I would like to just be able to run around Detroit fucking doing shit.
Yeah. Even on Arkham, all those
Fuckers in the
Arkham,
dick.
The game has not been received favorably in general. It wasn't really, yeah,
I feel like, okay, my point is, I guess I'm saying it's been very overhyped for something that we could have gotten on the PS3. That's what it feels like to me is
that's
PS
fair.
level.
Yeah.
Like I'm just sitting here going, why am I paying $60 for a PS5 game when it's something that I could have played 20 years ago? I got more excited seeing the footage from the Puppet Master game coming up, to be honest with you. Because at least there you can choice between a good or bad puppets and stuff like that. It's a little bit more engaging for me. I'm like, okay, I like choices. I like being able to do stuff. I like being able to, sure, I like playing the game as a linear game too, but I like to be able to explore the world. That's kind of to me the whole point of being able to be in a game based on a world or a movie is that I get to be that character and go do those things, right? Like that's what appeals to me. But in this case, it's
the whole fix it and post thing is now that I think about it, is common between Hollywood and video games, because it used to be, before the age of the internet and patches and everything, you had to release a game, and whether or not it was finished, it was that's what you got. Now it's, well, we'll release it and then we'll complete it after it's released. And you're getting the same thing in with movies. It's like, well, we'll fix it in post. We'll film it first and then we'll fix everything that went wrong. It's like what I was taught in schools. If you ever said fix it in post, I failed the class. They were hard against that, but I guess that's an old school mentality.
Yeah. Well, and I see some people
shouldn't be trying to do anything in post. You should be like, no, I planned accordingly. Everything is good. It's the freak accidents that you find have slipped by your purview. And you're like, well, okay, now we have to find a way to fix this. And we're already in post. It's like, you don't want to intend it to be resolved later, because you're actually just going to escalate the level of the problem you have on that day. Because it's going to grow if you don't address it right away. And maybe someone out there has made a game for Tom where they took Grand Theft Auto and just changed it over to your RoboCop in that city.
That's fine with me. I'll go shoot people in the dick.
Yeah, you get to drive around in the police car, and if you encounter a crime, you can get out and address it, or you can listen to the radio, your CB radio, and go to crime reports and all that stuff.
There were some
solid Beavis. There were some solid Beavis and Butthead games, to be honest. It was just like there's one where you're just standing on top of a building, like spitting on people. You had to try and get the bald guy on the top of his head. That was fun.
And I mean, I liked. Okay, the South Park game wasn't like completely open world either or anything like that, and it was linear. But you had a little bit of choice, and there was the second game I kind of got bored with because I was like, okay, we've already done this with the first game. Like that's the thing too, is like, give me something different here. I guess in that respect.
Stick of Truth was better than the Fractured Butthole for sure.
That's my problem. Is I fell out of the Fractured Butthole pretty quick.
The Stick of Truth to me felt like one of the best seasons of South Park put into a video game.
And it
And I kinda
played with the
wondered
whole
if-
idea of being a what do you call it? Turn-based RPG. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of wondered if it didn't actually suffer the quality of the TV show because they were putting all their attention and all their best ideas over in the game.
Well, not only that, the
some of
Fractured
that
but
time.
Whole felt like it was maybe that should have been the first game and the other way around, because that was already how many years after all the Coon stuff on the fucking show? Like, that was the other
Yeah,
problem, is like, it
yeah.
felt like, and I give them credit for holding the game off till it was ready, but it just really felt like an afterthought at that point. It's like, I get it, you're trying to do the end game thing, but whatever. I guess I should be fair on that one. I haven't played it all the way through yet. So, but no, Ace makes a good point here. I'm getting real salty. John's over RoboCop. The game, while limited because it was a AA game, gave you the feel of RoboCop. Maybe it gave you the feel of RoboCop. That's fair. So, I mean, I see a lot of people making excuses for the company. Like this one, RoboCop is made by a AA Polish studio, says Abdulio. Open world games are extremely expensive. This is a budget studio. That's fair, but okay. I can take that, but why not give me the option to go third person so I can actually see what's going on around me? That's what bothers me, right? At least in GTA, I can go. I see myself. Like, to me, that's when I'm playing a game. I like to see plus, especially if I'm being somebody like a character, right? I want to be able to see the character as I'm playing the game. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm asking
No,
too much.
I'm the same way, but you're right. I mean, everyone has their own sweet spot for genres, right? And third person is definitely different than first person.
Yeah, to me, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it.
I'm a third person player myself.
I know people are. Like when Doom came out and everybody was like all into that shit, I'm just like, yeah, it's all right. You know, I'd like to be able to see where I'm at though. You know, and to me also, I just hate not being able to see where my character is kind of going and obstacles and what's behind them, at least to a point.
For me, it's field of view as much as anything. You know, when you're in third person, you can see more of your environment. And now that can be solved with ultra wide screen or VR to a certain degree. But
well, yeah, if I was playing in VR, I wouldn't mind this so much. But that's the thing, is I wouldn't even mind the game so much if I just had the option, right? Maybe they can do a patch for that. If somebody's listening, do a patch for that. That'd be great. Maybe I'll give it a little more of a chance. Yeah. Facutino, I think that's how you say that. Facutino sends in $4.99, says, Tom, you should play Dead Space and hopefully the remastered Silent Hill 2. Dead Space was not one I never got into, I'm not a big fan of horror games, believe it or not, even though I'm a fan of horror films. The only horror game I've ever been into really was the, what's that one that you go around as the different killers and you play online?
Dead by Daylight?
Dead by Daylight, yeah. And the Friday the 13th one, similar. I like that one, all right.
You know, the first Silent Hill game on the PlayStation scared the shit out of me.
I'm not much into zombies and all that business.
That one kept me up at night.
Like I never was into Resident Evil. I mean, I don't even have a PS3 anymore, but I had the Red Dead Redemption one with the zombies, but I think I played like a little bit of it. And I'm like, meh. I'm just not a big zombie fan either. Tom plays too many horror games. Yeah, kind of. If they got horrors in it, that's a definite plus. Right?
That's a genre in Japan.
I mean, you find a way to slip some hookers in the game, you get my attention. DCV Titan says Spider-Man 2 is great if you get the Middle East version. I heard about that new one, yeah. Well, the other thing now is they're saying that going forward, the only Spider-Man is going to be Miles Morales in the games. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that's why I was bringing up the Wolverine
Miles
comment from earlier.
I
because
know. I set some people off again with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that brings it back because they're like, hold on, did you just have a video game on his character and it didn't do anywhere near the numbers that the first game did? And on top of it, like Peter Parker in that video game universe is still very, very young. And you're already telling me that he's just not going to be Spider-Man just because they basically create these games now in retrospect just so they can find another avenue to push Miles on us because they just can't accept that he's not doing as well as they wanted. Granted, I know Across the Spider-Verse did very, very good for anime movie. it seems like that's still not enough for what they want. They want him to be the Spider-Man, which still doesn't seem to be working.
If they call it Miles Morales and they call him Miles Morales, then I say let him go, do their thing, and it'll sell however well it sells, and have at it. But don't call him Spider-Man.
Spider-Man name. That's the thing. They know not to do that because they know Spider-Man is the name with the brand recognition. That's what they care about, is the brand recognition. So that's why they had that subtitle under Spider-Man Miles Morales for that video game. And on top of it, let's just be real fair here. They don't want to pay the Ditko estate as well. They're trying to find their little outsies there, which I know Klobby and we know about that whole spiel, that whole can of worms with not wanting to pay. The family is involved with that.
Yeah. Yepper.
Yeah, I like setting people off with the whole Miles Morales thing.
Well, the sad part is he's not even like a character that many people like genuinely like. Even most people who talk about Across the Spider-Verse, they don't talk about his character being a highlight.
Well, I love that a lot of people learned with the second film what I saw with the first film was trying to warn people. Like, there's no way with Amy Pascal involved that this shit is not going to go completely fucking woke. It's just no chance in fucking hell. Like, and not just that. Why? What? This is not anything original. That's the other thing that bothered me about the whole Spider-Verse thing, not to shit on that too, is just that this is not a new concept. We have had it a million times before. In fact, Script pointed out they did it on the original series, the animated series of the 90s. Much better, I think you said.
Yep.
You had Turtles Forever already do it. I'm sure there's at least one or two other franchises that I'm not thinking of where they've melded 2 or 3 of the different versions together already. This is not a new concept.
No, it's not. And I could forgive all that if they had a good movie and good characters. Which,
as far as I'm concerned, No Way Home did it better because at least it was Peter fucking Parker, aka fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, there's that too. It's just ridiculous that they really want people to be dismissive of Peter Parker, and that Spider-Man, no matter how much you try to change history, redefine it, revise it, Spider-Man is Spider-Man. And and I'm sure there are very few people who do like Miles Morales. I know, respect you if you genuinely do, but at least be aware that most people don't actually like the character. A lot of people like the connotations attached to his character. He's the race swapped character. He's the diverse character. They like the ideas about him. And even if you take out those ideas and perceptions people have of the character, it's all, most of his traits are not all that different from Peter Parker. Like, if you listen to
and in Spider-Verse they made him even more like Peter Parker, in my opinion.
In his dialogue in that movie and in any of those comics, if you had put a blinder, you could have swore you were either listening or to Peter Parker read, or if you read like an empty script without the names attached, you could have swore it was just Peter Parker. So he talks like Peter Parker. He acts like in many ways. At least you can argue with Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of the future in 2099. He has his own name. He's definitely very distinctive from Peter Parker. Granted, the multiverse has gone way too far, but if you had to really go down that route, Miguel O'Hara at least has enough of himself to set him apart from Miles Morales.
Oh, you're spot on.
Well, normally people would refer to him as Spider-Man 2099 anyway, even though I didn't really care for the character. I at least give him that.
Well, it's because it was in the future. They just referred to him as Spider-Man because that comic took place in the year 20.
Yeah, but they always added the other part to it. That's my point. It's the same thing with Miles Morales. Every time I see a book, it never says just Spider-Man and it's Miles Morales. It says Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I know, Klobby, you were about to say something. I'm sorry.
No. I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not a big fan of Miles either. Of Miles or Miguel, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we've had the conversation before about how I feel about just redundant characters in general.
Yes.
We don't need multiple ones.
Right.
We don't need another fucking million Robins. I hate the Bat family. People have tried using that as a fucking excuse too. I'm like, you realize the Bat family is what's kind of gotten us to this fucking point where we're in the CW world of superheroes now? That's what's gotten us here. It's just because a fucking superhero can't be left on their own to their own accord. They have to have a whole fucking crew of
they all have
diverse
to now.
people And Batman was one of the first ones to do that shit. Sure, some of them were okay with like Barbara and all that kind of stuff. Once you start getting all the rest to the added to the mix, it's like I thought Batman was more of a loner. Like,
Orphan.
Just-
Yes,
look,
spoiler,
it worked.
Orphan.
It works for some characters, the Marvel family, Superman family, the Batman family, but not everyone needs that. I mean, Fantastic Four or a family, but it's different. But yes, it's absolutely ridiculous for some of these characters, especially a guy like Spider-Man. He's supposed to be a loner, and that's it. He's Spider-Man, and there's never. I mean, you know, it was okay to do the Spider-Woman character who was separate from him anyway. I didn't mind it that much. The Jessica Drew. But like you said, like that terrible Flash show on CW where he had to have a
Every
Scooby gang.
episode was a team show.
Yeah, because he had to have a Scooby gang. Everybody, and that probably wasn't the first one to do it, but it seems like it. Every single
Arrow
other
got it going.
thing. Yeah, okay.
Well, no, they got it going. It started with Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Well, that wasn't an established superhero.
And
out of the comics,
Smallville. Don't forget Smallville.
No. Well, Buffy came before Smallville, right?
Did
So
it?
start with
Okay,
Buffy
I
the Vampire
couldn't
Slayer,
remember.
where she had two friends, the funny one and then the nerdy one, but it was really supposed to be
Right.
Giles and her.
And everyone tried to rip it off after that.
Exactly.
But she was at least an original creation by him, even though it was him doing Spider-Man. But then every other, like you said, script, but every other one after that, and on TV anyway, had to have a Scooby gang. So it's just, Why would Flash? Barry Allen never needed it in the comic books. Most superheroes didn't.
The only exceptions I'll give is once in a great while. Like I like the Barry Allen version of the Flash more than I do the Jay Garrick one, for instance.
I love them both.
Jay
Barry's
Garrick
my
was
man.
supposed to be of the golden age. He's not.
Because people will throw that shit at me sometimes.
What?
And I'll be like, yes, you're
Jay
right,
Garrick,
and there is
Barry
that
Allen.
case to be made that yes, they've already done this in the past once before, so this is nothing new. Granted, that's true. And then you get the next thing that people give me, but I also make the argument we've also had those versions of those characters of the Green Lantern Corps and the Flash a hell of a lot longer than we did the Golden Age versions. That's another thing people
Corps
aren't
has
taking
been
into
the Corps
consideration.
for a long time.
I mean, I get it. They weren't the first, but we're also talking about the most well-known that have been around the longest, the more well-established. They are that much different in a respect that they were just kind of more or less paying homage to and taking like one or two elements from the original character and then revamping them at that point. It wasn't even like a passing of a torch kind of thing. Like then the next thing and getting to that, though, people go, well, it's a passing of a torch. They could do that. It's like, why? These are fucking cartoon characters. They're comic book characters. They don't fucking age. They don't have to age.
Well, that's the thing. They don't have to. If you're telling a story of generations, like for instance, like a Dark Knight Returns style, you can have it as a one-off. Like, yes, eventually, 40 years down the road, Batman retires and someone takes up his mantle.
Yeah,
but you only need to do that for that story. That's why I think Batman worked really well, because when they introduced Robin, Batman was mentoring Robin. That's what the relationship was.
Right.
He was mentor and hero. And that's kind of why it worked. And also Batman comics spiked huge once they introduced Robin, which is only like a year later after his debut. And they sold quite well for a bit there. And then they kind of went on a downward spiral in the 60s. And then the late 60s, when they basically put Dick Grayson into college and made Batman alone again, the sales went up. not enough to do what they wanted, but enough to sustain it for quite a while. But there's this thing where you have this flexibility where if you're telling a story, you can have the original characters be the original characters. And if you want to tell something in the tail end of their life, you can do that too. And that's a completely different type of story at what you're getting at.
That's why I never griped about Batman Beyond, really. I'm not a big fan of it or anything, but I get it. It's something you can do.
Either, but Terry McGinnis is Terry McGinnis. Batman is Bruce Wayne.
That's kind of like a whole, like another thing, but it's kind of goes to what you're saying, Script. It's like, you're saying a what if story. Okay, fine. A what if story is one thing. Don't make it fucking canon. But Flash also suffers from the same problem that Spider-Man does. Too many characters with the same goddamn powers.
Yes.
And the same MO.
The way that they brought in Barry Allen is they actually they did a little double. They recognized that the Jay Garrick Flash was an older, more experienced Flash than Barry Allen, but they didn't bridge those two together until a little bit later, I think, on the Flash of Two Worlds story way back when.
Later, yeah.
But even when in other variations, when they started to merge that multiverse together, they basically said, oh yeah, this is Jay Garrick had his moment, and now we're in Barry Allen's timeline. And Jay Garrick is the retired or the more experienced Flash who acts as a mentor to Barry if and when Barry needed it. And Barry didn't need it much. And that was what made it kind of interesting, is the fact that you had this type of legacy stuff. They reincorporated how Alan Scott was the Green Lantern of Gotham City way back in the day, and then he retired, and how he has a different ring. And the Green Lantern, that's another one where the Green Lantern is a mantle. It's part of a core. Anyone who has the ring is a Green Lantern.
Right, a different example though. Yeah, see, and that's my point. But going against it, like I just said, the Flash thing, you get too many people with the same damn powers, and then you got 20 different Flash characters, just like with Spider-Man. Yeah. We got 20 different Spider-Men now.
It's pathetic. I don't know why someone ever thought that was a good idea to do all that kind of stuff.
And then the thing is with the whole, Peter Parker is Spider-Man thing, it goes along with what I was saying before, is when they put Spider-Man on the logo and you don't see anything else with it, instantly it's Peter Parker. So otherwise it'd be Spider-Man 2099 or Miles Morales Spider-Man or Spider-Gwen or whatever the fuck they call her nowadays. You know what I mean? Like they actually differentiate them in that sense. And you ask any average Joe on the street, 9 out of 10 people, if you ask him who is Spider-Man, actually probably 9.99999999999 out of 10 people, unless you're in fucking California, will answer Peter Parker. You might get one smartass who might say Miles Morales, and like I said, that'd be if you're in like California or someplace like that. But there ain't nobody, and I mean nobody, from the age of 99 to 2 who knows who Spider-Man is. If you ask who is Spider-Man, the first thing they're going to say is Miles Morales. Nobody will.
Nobody. No.
Not a single fucking person. Even these people who go out there and try to defend this shit online. Because Peter Parker has always been and always will be Spider-Man. Yes. Just like Batman is and always will be Bruce Wayne. No matter how many different versions and iterations you bring into the mix, it's never going to change. Clark Kent will always be Superman.
Steve Rogers will always be Captain America.
Always be Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And David Bruce Banner, etc.
Their expectation is that they will get the kids to believe that, but they're going to fail at that because the kids don't even care in the first place.
No,
they care about Five Nights at Freddy's a heck of a lot more.
Look, if you're very young and Miles was your first, and he's your favorite, that's all fine and good, but it doesn't change the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. The creator deemed him that and never came along later and changed it. So, and the creator being Steve Ditko, of course.
Yeah. And then on the other side of things, on DC, you've got Blue Beetle. You got 3 characters that hold that mantle.
Right.
Well, and that's similar to Ant-Man to me. That's what it feels like. But
the thing about that script is that almost any character you could pick out of the Silver Age, not any, but like somewhere 70, some odd 80% of them, were taken, were reused names and their powers in a lot of cases. Like people think the android Vision is the first, but he's not. There was a Golden Age Vision. There's a Golden Age, almost a Golden Age version of almost every other character that you see.
Golden Age Human Torch.
Golden Age Human Torch, and so on and so forth. So a lot of these characters.
And there's a very fair argument to be made
Golden Age Daredevil, by the way. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. No. I was just saying there's a very fair argument to be made there. And the big difference here between those is the new iterations that came in with the Silver Age, they stuck around. And that was my point with the Flash, right? Like, sure, we had the Jay Garrick Flash before, but when the new version of the Flash came in, we've had that version now for a hell of a lot longer than the Jay Garrick version ever had a chance to even be relevant, right? So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is we had a big, huge change between the era of when those superheroes were invented and science when we got to the era of the 60s, right? When the Silver Age was in its prime or whatever.
And
between the 60s and now, we haven't had nearly as leap as we did then, outside of computer technology is all I'm saying.
Because I grew up with the Disney comics. Those are the ones I collected more than Marvel. I mean, I watched Marvel on TV, but the comics, it was all Disney comics for me, right? But I got around and I looked back at the 60s Marvel comics, and I can see that the Golden Age was an evolution from the Silver Age. I can appreciate from reading those Silver Age comics. There was a kind of a simplicity to the 60s, and it's not that I didn't like it, but it's almost like every single origin story was a nuclear bomb,
Right.
And even Stan Lee kind of got tired of that at a certain point. It's like, let's do something
They had to tweak
new.
that a little bit for some of the modern, and I have no problem with that, but like the tweaks there were very minimal compared to, like, wasn't it Hard Water that basically turned the Flash into the Flash in the first one? Or what?
Heavy water.
Was it?
It was heavy water type
yeah.
stuff, basically. So that's why, well, in the 50s, when Julius Schwartz took over as one of the editors at DC National at the time, he decided he didn't like the rather simplistic origins of. And I love Julius Schwartz. I don't necessarily agree with him, but he's come off a science fiction background. He had been friends with and even the agent of people like Ray Bradbury, Alfred Bester, and so on. And so he had more of a science fiction background, and he wanted to base these newer versions more in science fiction, even though they're still fantasy superheroes, right? Well, and that's kind of what he based Hal Jordan and Barry Allen on. And so he really conceptualized the characters now. Gardner Fox, John Broome, other guys fleshed it out, Carmen Infantino, Gil Kane, but he basically set the template for those characters, and he just wanted to be more like a science fiction thing. And it worked, and it ushered in the Silver Age. But I still love the Golden Age versions of them, and the thing about it is he didn't just change Jay Garrick and Alan Scott to fit that. He created new characters and eventually basically creating what Earth 1, which should have been called Earth 2.
And that's where, and you're making my point with that, Clobby, right? Like that was kind of what I was trying to say to begin with, is that they created wholly new characters without new backgrounds,
changing the other ones.
Without changing the other ones, using some of those elements, but very sparingly, outside of maybe like a few, the obvious, like the fast.
He took their names
and all that stuff, and like the obvious stuff. But it's not like the whole Miles Morales thing where, let's be real, Miles Morales is literally a fucking carbon copy of Peter Parker. No matter how you want to fucking cut it at the end of the day.
Right, where Barry and Jay are different and Alan and Hal are different. Miles is just there for,
He's the only thing different about him is his color, and he has two additional powers.
Miles, but see, the Venom Blast was something that Jessica Drew already did. So that's not like a thing that stands out. True.
And the camouflage thing, that's not
I don't think they even they didn't even use that in Spider-Verse yet. Maybe they did in the sequel. But.
So those powers are all just basically taken from other takes, 29/9, Jessica Drew. So it's like, he has his
he's a hodgepodge
not
on
his
top of it all.
aunt and uncle, but he doesn't have the same type of powers, responsibility, lessons. Worst of all, he has the same villains as Peter Parker.
That was a point somebody else was making online. Yeah. He has zero new villains.
He doesn't have characters. He doesn't have villains to call his own characters that he doesn't have his arch rival that, hey, there's this high school bully that I don't get along with. Maybe he might become a villain. Who knows? That's the sad part. They had the groundwork laid out for them to do that, but they don't. They just use all the other villains that are already there. So it makes Miles's case even worse. Like, if you're gonna try to convince me that he is this great character, you got to go all the way with it. But they want all the shortcuts of it. They don't want to put in the real work of doing that. If you even want to try something, granted, I really can't, because to me he's just Miles Morales, but I would at least appreciate some effort. And they're not trying to do the effort. They want the lazy way out. But that's them in a nutshell with all these characters. They want the lazy way out. Everyone has superpowers now. Some of my friends who read all the modern DC books, they tell me now every book, and I mean apparently every single book that's labeled as like a soul tie, like the Flash, Superman, they're all team books now. Everyone has powers. So at this point, what's the point of superhero books now? Every town should be completely safe. Keystone, Central, Gotham, Metropolis. If everyone and their mother has powers, there should be no villains. It makes all of it so jumbled. It makes no damn sense. I know I went to do
they're normalizing things,
but
because
it does all tie together. We had
if everybody has powers, it's not about the powers anymore. It's not about the powers anymore. It's about their intentions. So if they all have powers and nobody's safe, it's like, because more people who have powers are being assholes as opposed to, for my language, opposed to the heroes that you have. Like they're digging themselves in a hole at this point.
Everyone's they're like, these powers mean nothing. These stories mean nothing. They're all just meaningless, and there's no value to these characters now because they're taken away because they just need more versions of the same characters. Like,
I think you're spot on.
I hate this. Well, it's harder to sell new characters. Yeah, no duh. But guess what? Every character that you are working with now was a new character. So put in the legwork too. Others had to.
You want a black character. So make him his own thing. That's the best way to respect it. Instead of just trying to make him.
You're right,
Spider-Man.
CC. But right now you've already started from the wrong place. See, and that's where like Ethan Van Sciver made this speech one time, and I thought it was brilliant because it's the best way to build a comic book character. He's like, you don't start from if they're whatever their race is or whatever, or necessarily even their sex. You start from, well, what's their power? What's a cool power?
Yeah.
What's something that I haven't seen yet, or what can they have that makes them unique? And you build it from there, not the other way around.
It's a sane, logical approach.
Now, it's tough to make up a new power, though.
Yeah, but that's what he was saying. Is it's and all the greats were built that way, right? Well, that's kind of where they started from the inception of, okay, well, what could you do if you could crawl on walls? Well, that'd be cool. Same thing was like, well, if I had all these gadgets and had a cool car and I was, the top peak human condition, well, I could be Batman, right? Well, what if you had somebody visit Earth from another planet? Well, maybe they would have superpowers like Superman. Like that's obviously where these characters start from. They don't start from the place of, well, we need an Asian chick who's a lesbian. Now give me the powers and give me the character. Like that is the wrong place to start from the very fucking start. And you can't tell me characters like Miles Morales and everyone since then hasn't been conceived in the same fucking way.
Yep. You just did the origin for Aunt Flo there, Tom.
Indeed.
But anyway, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No.
Let's see here. Where'd we?
My question about Miles Morales, Nick, is has he fought the kangaroo yet?
No, he hasn't even fought the condor.
All Spider-Man's own villains.
I can at least say, okay, he fought the condor. There's about 1% forgiveness. 1%.
If he fought the condor,
the condor.
Condor's never coming back.
Chat, you're probably, who's condor? That's
He's
some
never
inside
coming back.
baseball between me, Klobby, and D. Bud Martin.
He's never coming back. The condor, give it up, man. Him and Diamond had lost forever.
Dude, I believe in the condor the same way people believe in Harvey Dent, the Dark Knight. I believe in the condor. Make the condor great again. I'm not giving him up. Yeah. Oh, and then we're gonna bring back Fancy Dan. We're gonna bring back Slide.
I want Fancy Dan just to come back just because of his name.
Yeah, Fancy Dan. How about Razorback?
Yeah,
make him gay.
And Fancy Dan.
How about Razorback?
Put a chicken and make a gay.
Razorback.
They haven't used Razorback in a while.
I don't think so. Kangaroo either.
Or, Razorback.
Yeah, some of those Spider-Man villains that weren't so successful.
Razorback sounds awfully gay too.
Spidey's got a great rogues gallery, but for years they tried to, God bless them, they tried to make other villains that would stick like those, and you ended up with Kangaroo and Razorback, and just
about the Eggman.
Cuckoo Kachoob.
Yeah, there was an Eggman. Yeah,
there was.
You can get this wonderful shirt right here at this link, guys, right now, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to give you a deal. I'm going to save you 10%. If you type in toxic or coupon, you get 10% off right now. It's a limited deal.
Toxic of you.
It is very toxic of me. That's an early deal because that was supposed to be for Toxic Femme next week. So shh.
Nice.
Make a good Christmas present.
Kill kangaroo.
Put another gay diverse woman in it. Make it more fucking lame.
Oh
man. Razorback wasn't burned She-Hulk. Okay, yeah, figures. Wait a minute, but they killed Kangaroo? You bastards.
Oh shit. I don't even know who Kangaroo is.
A very obscure Spidey villain.
Obviously. It's something. I was gonna say I have no idea. No idea. Thomas has a question for Script. Dr. Thomas Schotter asks, hey Script, your thoughts on my favorite Canadian film, 1997's Cube?
Oh, it's good mystery and very well done for basically a single set location.
I think I've seen this one. I'm trying
Check
to remember.
it out.
Yeah, I
one
love
of the
that
few
movie.
good Canadian films that we've made up here.
I think I have, but it's been like 30 years now almost, or 20 years or whatever it was since it came out. Yeah, 97.
Around that,
so,
yeah, 25 years or so.
Yeah, so it's been probably at least that long. Doug1985 says, but Tom, you can't see yourself right now in the third person, is what a smartass would say. Yes, they would. But you know what else is different about first person? is I can actually see my arms. I can actually see part of my body and stuff. You can't see that in the third person on a game. Like even when his gun is up there, you can barely just see the front of the gun. And to me, that's not technically even really the first person. That's too confined. I get field constricted, and yeah, it's just a personal thing. I'll admit that. So, but then we got Abdulio says third person means another set of animations which raise production costs. GTA belongs to Rockstar, one of the richest studios in the world. That's fair, Abdulio. But then why am I paying $60 for this game? Why isn't the game only $40 then? I mean, I gave Back to the Future the game a little bit more leeway because it was like a $30 game. The gameplay sucks, but the story is great. Like, as far as the game itself, that's where I'll give it like a, pretty decent rating. But in this, I had higher expectations for the hype. I had higher expectations considering some of the trailers. I should have known going into it was going to be first person. I think I mentioned something about that back then. I said, well, hopefully we get a third person option. And this is fair. But at the same time, I don't know. I just don't see it's too much to ask. E-Clay says, not a gamer. Tom, you'd do it for Randolph Scott. Would I? Would I really?
Would you?
I don't know. Would I?
Randolph Scott. Good actor.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that big of a fan.
So Tom wouldn't. It turns out Tom wouldn't do it for Randolph Scott.
It's not so much.
after all.
Okay, I take that back. It's not that I'm so much of a fan. I'm not that familiar with his films.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Well, it has been a while.
yeah, it's very old westerns. It
Yeah.
looks like here from
Yeah,
this.
old westerns.
Honestly, I think I've maybe seen one or two of his.
Isn't he the one that
films.
Tarantino liked a bunch of his odd
He may
Western
have.
movies? Yeah, Tarantino's a fan of some of his westerns. He's talked about them.
Somebody I should probably check out. Well, thank you for that, E-Clay. Even though you're asking a goofy question, maybe I found a new actor to check out.
He was talking
Sea
about him in
Commandant
interview once.
loses interest in third-person games. That's fair, I guess. But I would do it maybe for Sheriff Bart, but maybe. We need a Blazing Saddles game.
All right. I'm all about Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, so I never really got into the
I've
whole
never played any
first-person
of that.
perspective. Yeah, role-playing games.
This
Knights
is
of the
too
Old-
true.
Yeah. Knights of the Old Republic is a classic.
This is too
Star
true,
Wars
though.
at its best.
Though what Lance Corporal said, and this is about everything in our
Yes,
fandom.
it is.
Not just a game. Everybody takes it always as a personal attack, or if you say something stupid, or the one thing I try not to say because people do tend to take it the wrong way is only an idiot would, right? Like that's something I've tried to really take out of my vernacular. Not because I really want to, or I think that people should take it the wrong way, but there are people who do. So
I have an old saying that I made it myself, Tom. Says, if you want to make an enemy, just have an opinion, a critical opinion,
Right.
and speak it. That's all it takes.
And I
No matter,
mean,
no matter how nicely you put it, no matter how diplomatically you put it, someone will dislike you just because you dislike something or criticize something that they like. And I don't relate to it, but it's the way it is.
I mean, people get, I mean, I guess the one thing I can kind of compare it to where people get a little less offended is when you compare it to like, the whole pineapple on pizza thing, right? We can jokingly argue about that, right?
Right.
And nobody really gets into a point where they're like, well, fuck you, and you're a fucking asshole and a fucking transphobe and all this shit over fucking pineapple on pizza.
Right. It's a good nature.
If I were to go out and say the Captain Marvel fucking sucks in the wrong room,
you're an ist.
I'm going to start a fucking riot. Exactly. Like, why is that so different? And that is the thing that I cannot understand. And that's what I used to love about, just waxing about movies, especially working in a video store. That's all we do all day long is talk about movies and shit.
Yeah.
And we'd shit and talk shit on movies we love.
Yeah.
We'd make fun of all the shit we love, man. We go, sure, maybe I love House Party, but my coworker that day is going to just shit all over it. And you know what?
You like
He's
that?
not totally wrong about it. Some things he may be right about. So I'll just give him that. Whatever. We can disagree to disagree at the end of the day. That doesn't mean I can't have some fun at the same time. Like since
maybe
when?
set up a pool to see when the next version of Blade Runner is going to come out, right?
Yeah, right. Oh shit. When the final cut came out, God, we were all just so like,
sure it is.
and that's kind of where some of the Ridley Scott fucking hate started to set into at that point too, when you started to realize this motherfucker can't make one version of a movie, can he?
No.
He's already edited 90 minutes of that sequel to Gladiator, I guess.
What? There's a sequel to that?
Because they had to stop
Gladiator 2
shooting
is
it.
happening.
Yeah, they had to stop shooting it,
What?
but he's already edited 90 minutes of it. So I'm like, oh, good, he's getting an extra early start on all his multiple versions already.
Doesn't he do Napoleon? I thought he was busy with Napoleon or something. Isn't him? Is that his?
Yeah, but that's all done
That's his.
already.
But
But while they had the
Gladiator 2's been, they
Wait a-
announced that 20 years ago.
but when they were shut down because of the actors' strike, they couldn't shoot no more. They had shot for
Oh.
I don't know however long, and yeah, because can't remember who all's in the cast. I know Denzel Washington's in it though, which is weird because I pointed out this is the first time he's doing a sequel besides The Equalizer, and he wasn't even in the first one. Yeah, Vertical Coliseum Boogaloo. Like, what is it? What is this? Like, seriously,
Why?
the rumor is that why is this is a better question, but like.
Yeah.
The rumor going around is that it's going to follow Max's kid that he had with what's her face that he doinked in the first one or whatever. But I'm like, does anybody really care anymore?
No.
I get it. Like Gladiator
No.
has like this following of like a cult following still, and it did win a lot of awards, and it was a big movie at the time. But
Yeah.
has it really resonated through the
Oh.
generations? I mean, like,
I loved the movie, but it came out in a year of bad movies.
you know what I would
2000
compare it to? Yeah, that's another good point, CC. And it also hit at the early part of DVD. So that was another thing that I think made it so big at that time. But it reminds, it would be lucky if this movie has the legacy of Spartacus, right?
Mm.
I love Spartacus. I know a lot of people love Spartacus, but there's a large portion of the younger generations that'll never fucking watch that movie,
No.
don't understand or care about it,
Yep.
and will never care about it. It's just the way it is, right? Like, I get it. And that's where I kind of feel like Gladiators kind of hit. I could be wrong. I could
I'm
be very
feeling that.
fucking
It's
wrong,
not
but
exactly a remembered movie.
it's not screaming for a sequel either. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Well, after it
Not at
came
all.
out, that's when Ridley was like, "I'm going to do a sequel about that." That was
You know what his
20
plan
years
was
ago
then,
now.
though? And this is how he was going to bring back Russell Crowe. Was that script that just giggled? Because he knows exactly where I'm going with this if it was.
Yep.
This was supposed to be him in hell or in Hades fighting his way through Hades. I
Yeah.
shit you not. That was the original sequel idea. One of them, yeah.
That's one of them. The other one was he was brought to modern day New York.
Oh yeah, that was the other
Yeah,
one.
I want to see that one. Yeah, make that
Like
one.
Hercules kind of
I'd
thing.
watch
yeah.
that one.
It's not bad.
I'd
Are
watch
you
that.
not entertained?
It's kind of it
Times
was like
Square.
modern day New York, and it was making fun of the reality TV boom that was happening in the early 2000s.
Oh my god.
Only Ridley Scott would make a stupid fucking movie like that.
Yes.
Like seriously. God, I don't get me wrong. I have nerd love for Ridley, but I also have a nerd hate boner for him, and most people know this. And it's just because he's one of the most overrated fucking directors of all time.
True.
And his brother was one of the most hated directors, never got enough fucking credit, made much more entertaining films. I don't
Yep.
give a shit how cheesy some of them are.
I get a lot of Jerry Bruckheimer in my mind.
He was
comparisons.
basically
Mm.
the predecessor to Jerry Bruckheimer, but he was, or no, he worked for Jerry Bruckheimer. That's what I was thinking of. Michael Bay. Sorry. Michael
Yeah,
Bay
but-
was kind of like the cheap dime store version of Tony Scott. But Tony Scott was the guy who reinvented like film editing and shit in the 80s. People forgot that. Like, it's like I watched Top Gun again here last year to see the sequel. And I was reminded again of everything I was reminded of the 2 or 3 times I'd seen it since it come out. I said, yeah, this movie is cut like a fucking music video. And that's why people watch it. Is it a story? Not really. It isn't a story until the last third of the film. It's just shit that happens until there's something else happens to like actually kick things in gear. Otherwise, it's literally just a music video. I'm surprised people don't call it a musical like they did Saturday Night Fever. It has more in common with Saturday Night Fever than it does with any other movie. But yeah, like in a sense that the music kind of just is poured in throughout the film. And then you have this big event at the end, right? Like, that's kind of it. The sequel at least had a storyline going through it. But anyway, that was just a minor gripe there. But no, like just the way that film's edited, and then he carried that on to things like Beverly Hills Cop 2. And then he also, moved up the ranks through other things, Didn't he also direct Days of Thunder?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that was another big one for him. True Romance. Oh, True Romance really was. Like, honestly, I think he kind of helped shape Tarantino's voice in cinema, too. Because look at how True Romance is edited and put together. And that's the only movie Tarantino has ever done an audio commentary for. That is his movie. People don't know that. He won't do commentaries for his movies, but he did for that one. But through most of it, he's like, I wouldn't have done this any different. I wouldn't have done this any different. I wouldn't have, like, through most of it. Like, so you can tell he was very happy with what Tony had done. And that's why he's doing a commentary for it, because he's just gushing over it through the whole thing.
I think Tony kind of, when the industry did not really like him for whatever reasons. And I think they pushed him a lot because they kind of, the only job he could get towards the end of his career was like remakes, like taking a Felon 1, 2, 3. Like he shouldn't have done that. Like he didn't have to. He shouldn't have had to.
It was actually a pretty decent remake, though. Surprisingly.
No, I mean he gave it his all. That's the thing, right? But like, why would you get someone like Tony Scott to remake a classic that had Walter Matthau in it way back when?
Yeah,
it's like you're trying to make him. You're trying to give and put an image on him that he thinks he's too good. He's good enough to remake good movies, and it's like that's a stigma they're trying to plant on him, or at least at the time. And nobody was really hiring him because he was doing like short films and directing TV, which was crazy. Because it's Tony Scott, I know with real talent, like real narrative talent.
I didn't even realize he directed that script until I watched it, because I just watched the original again for the first time in forever when it came out on 4K, and it happened to be on Netflix. And then as the credits are rolling, I seen Tony Scott's name in it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll like this a little bit more than I thought. And sure shit, because I went in to hate watch it, and by the end of the I'm like, I kind of like how they updated it. I mean, the changes made sense. It didn't feel in the act. Here's my biggest thing with a lot of times when they remake movies that I think this may have gotten it a little right and not wrong, is they always get like people who were lesser than actors than the original. That's the problem, right? Like, in what world is Colin Farrell even remotely as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
For the Total Recall remake, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem. But you got Denzel Washington and John Travolta coming in for the Robert Shaw and you just said his name, Jesus Christ. Walter Matthau characters. That's a pretty okay. Now you're on the same level. I can see where you're coming from, and they do different versions of those characters, right? Like, it works for the movie, and the supporting cast also helps. Is it better than the original? Fuck no. But you know what? Tony added his spin to it, and it feels like a Tony Scott movie, and it's probably one of his last good movies he ended up doing, probably. But
I forgot about Unstoppable. But yeah, him and Chris
that's the other. I have not seen that one. Yeah. I haven't watched
heard of that.
Wasn't that his last movie?
I think so.
Or what was his last movie? I know. Was he working on one when he?
It's been a while because
I was gonna say I think that's his last movie.
Yep, that's his last movie.
Yeah.
Influence with Domino.
That's the last movie
he also made Domino.
The last movie he worked on that he produced was Get Santa.
Oh yeah, did that even come out?
Yeah, apparently that did come out. Get Santa.
I've never even heard of that. Oh, did you mean ACCC even said in the back here he meant Michael Bay in the first place, right? Yeah.
I did.
Bruckheimer and Simpson were the producers,
With this formula, I get them confused because there's so many similarities about the way they make movies. And I was looking it up because I was like, The Rock. Yeah, The Rock is a Bay film, and that's one of my favorite movies, and it worked on that occasion.
Yeah. But, look, we have a formula now, right? Like before, I keep saying we need more cocaine and capitalism in Hollywood. We know the line and where it's at. It's somewhere between Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. The only person who got that joke right away was
wow.
Jeez.
That's a dark joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, he famously, I think, OD'd on coke, wasn't it? Or at least died from complications from doing too many years of coke. But yeah.
Well, in the 90s,
yeah. and then Simpson, after him being gone, Bruckheimer's never quite been the same, but
well, they complemented each other because
speaking
the rumor is that Don would have the crazy stuff going on, and then cool. Bruckheimer would be like, well, this is how we can do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't the same after that. I mean, The Rock was the last movie I think they produced together, and you can kind of feel it after that.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that's dedicated to him, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
I think he died during the production of that, yeah. Fittingly that it was named The Rock. I don't know. I mean, okay, I'll quit with the dark jokes.
If it was powder, if he was
Well, it comes in a rock form
rem-
first, Scrapped.
I remember that movie. I don't
You
know.
gotta
if
cut
I-
up
if I
rocks of
watched-
cocaine, don't you? No?
Remember that
Okay.
movie, Powder?
Oh God,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
I mean-
oh God, made by that fucking kitty diddler. Yeah, yeah. That was a
Goldblum.
weird ass movie.
So that was another dark reference, I guess. But
Yeah. That had Sean Patrick Flannery in it, didn't it? The kid with from Indiana Jones, wasn't it?
Maybe can't remember.
I think
that
so.
one much.
I haven't seen
And
it since
he's-
it came out. You just
I know. I
jogged
saw it
my
when it first
memory,
came
and I was
out.
like,
It was
oh.
all right, and then I found out who directed it, and I'm like, oh. And then some of the movie starts. Then you watch it. If you see it again after that, yeah, it doesn't set right well with you. Especially like, isn't there like a shower scene with a bunch of kids in the? You're just like, that's kind of weird. They still let this guy make movies. Why? Anyway,
well, it's Hollywood.
yeah, right.
No,
Well,
they
it
make
is
if it
time,
makes if he
yeah.
makes money for people, yes, they will turn a blind
That's
eye.
the
And
thing is, and that's the shitty part is, I can't like shit on anybody who watches his movies because he did his fucking time, right? The fact that Hollywood let him back in tells him more about Hollywood than it does anything, I guess. Than it does him. Yeah, you can go ahead and do the history checkup on yourself. I'm not getting into that one. I'm not getting into that.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. I think, what was the name of the movie? The Clown House or something like that he directed. That's the movie you got to look up. The kid that was in that. Yeah, you can kind of piece it together from there. Anyway, moving on with something a little less macabre, or whatever you want to call it. I guess that's not macabre so much as just creepy and weird. ActionCom says, I want to create a second-person shooter where the game is told through the eyes of the partner. We raid a bad guy's lair. I take the point while my partner covers me. Viable. Yeah, that's something I've always. What was
That's
that
still
one
third
game?
person though.
It is, but I mean, I get where he's saying like the actual gameplay factor of it. Because I'm trying to remember, like GTA and some other games have had this where you can call in help. They always show up too late.
That's the point.
Yeah, I know. Jay says, I do first person if I need to aim small targets a lot without auto aim, or if I force to use mouse and keyboard. Otherwise, most games I'll play in third. Aiming with a controller feels weird to me. Okay, let me amend this a little bit. When you're walking around and just exploring, that's when I want the third person. Also, when I want to be able to jump in and out of the first person, at least. Does that make more sense? I wouldn't mind it so much if I'm jumping into first person when I'm shooting, but when I put my gun down, I want to be able to see around me. So I like, that's my thing is I hate it that I feel like my vision is being cut off.
I mean,
and I can't
speaking
react.
of rabbit holes, keyboard versus controller.
Could very well be, but I mean, I'm playing on PS5 as well, so. Of course, if anybody's going to do any mods, it'll end up being the PC version first anyway, you're right. Of course, I'm one of those
more diverse.
If I was playing on PC, I'd still buy one of those controllers anyway. I couldn't do it with a keyboard and mouse.
I've got arthritis, so I can't do keyboard and mouse. Plus, I like being able to just sit back on my couch and chill. When I got the keyboard and mouse, I feel like I have to be right in front of the screen, like full attention and working my hands, and it's just more like I get that effort out of it. But I appreciate too that the keyboard has a lot more buttons than a mouse. So that's the trick.
Mikey's all
like,
triggered. Stop complaining! Dang it, Mike!
We're not. Hey, at least we're not talking about Zack Snyder.
I know I am personally attacking you right now, Commander V, just in some way, I'm sure. But thank you, Jay, for the $10 and ActionCom as well. Thank you for that. And then we got Mikey coming in with a crappy super chat here saying Zack Snyder is better than Tarantino audio. Well, it's commentary, not documentary. Commentary. No, he's really trying to trigger me right now.
It's not better than anybody or anything.
We get to see the numbers of his Netflix movie in next month.
Oh, that's got a shared universe with his zombie movie. Didn't you hear that?
I did.
For what fucking reason does anybody care?
he wants his own universe, and he's willing to go.
He lives in his own universe, man.
Yeah. His movie is also
Sorry.
getting the 70 millimeter treatment for a week in theaters somewhere.
Why? And from what I've seen, it was like one theater.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if it's multiple theaters, but there's not that many 70 millimeter.
A waste of film
left
to put it on.
Yeah, I would say. It's Netflix's money. They want to blow it.
I know.
Maybe this will actually, they'll start to see that he doesn't have the big, huge fan base they think he does.
Well, they got indication of that with the zombie film. That did not do great for Netflix.
That's what I thought.
But they made the deal, and apparently Netflix is sticking with it for now.
To deal with the devil. Oh no, Tom. If I could probably trigger them pretty quickly if they're even watching. Some of them still hate watch, I'm sure. But was there anything else going on today? I don't think there was. So I think we're gonna wrap this up here. It was a pretty slow news day because otherwise all that was going on was that they were amending the AI business and the negotiations. Is that what I read? Script or something like that?
SAG has apparently got a breakthrough according to Deadline when it comes to AI, and they're currently still negotiating. Even as we're speaking now, so they're going into the night. Looks like. So
well, it might get close to our prediction.
Well, my prediction is that Iger wants this strike resolved so he doesn't have to worry about it for the earnings call, which is tomorrow. Good luck with that.
I was about to say that's
good luck with that, but I think you and I had predicted by Thanksgiving-ish. I think we
probably
both did.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd be surprised if it went beyond October, and if it does, then it's not going to happen until either just before or after Thanksgiving, which is what you.
So they'll be able to go to work for a day or two, if at all, and then they'll go on break again. Yeah.
Well, the work that would basically be making deals so that there's money exchange between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but there won't be actual any production, which is going to kill the crew, like IATSE, the crew workers and all that stuff, which is horrible. But and it wouldn't be this long if the AMPTP would just be like, hey, we're not going to leave the negotiating table for 3 months for the WGA, and we're not going to even entertain bringing back the SAG they delayed it. They did this to them and cost the whole state of California over $6 billion in revenue.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this rolls here, but that's pretty much the only other real news going on right now. It's kind of a slower news day. I'm sure there was a few other minor things. We are getting a Ghostbuster trailer tomorrow.
Nice.
A lot of what's left over we'll probably discuss tomorrow with all the Disney talk, because I think they did. Was there another confirmation on the Ray movie or some shit like that? Like we all knew that wasn't going to happen or whatever. Anyway, we knew it was going to happen. I mean, more or less.
Well, I know they're pushing for it, but again, like all they can do is announce it and talk about it being in production. But there's no way that they can ever confirm who's going to be cast in it and who's going to be promoting it, because everyone that they'd use to market this film is on strike, except for Daisy Ridley, who they've already announced as part of it. So she's the only one there that they can talk about her, but she can't say anything for it either because it would break strike rules.
She wouldn't probably know shit anyway. All right, kids, let's get the hell out of here. Script, what you got going on? Anything going on you want to plug?
No, nothing yet. Just working on some screenplay reviews. I already got a letter saying that I finally have permission to share this script, so I'm going to be working on that. I'm just waiting for 3 more. So yeah, look forward to that. I've been trying to get stuff going more on the Patreon, but it's been busy over on my end, so apologize to that.
No worries. Nick, you're talking Bond tonight, right?
Oh yeah. Now we are doing a little bit of a plot twist, and the reason why is because I know FX, I think HC, if I got his name wrong, sorry. So asking why did we start off with Live and Let Die, which was the first Roger Moore era Bond. We are doing The Man with the Golden Gun tonight, the second one, because our chief engineer, as Clubby would like to say, Mark D with a C, is out doing local voting stuff, and to accommodate for his wonderful service that he always does for
Election Day stuff. Yep.
We're gonna do Live and Let Die next week, but for tonight we're gonna do The Man with the Golden Gun as a holdover. So you're gonna get the second movie first and the first movie second. So it's just nothing more than a very minor switcheroo. But yeah, Man with the Golden Gun, half hour. Looking forward to talking about it because it's the Roger Moore month. So yeah, come hang out and let's talk some 007. And of course, we got to talk about Christopher Lee in this movie. So
and tattoo.
Yeah.
More importantly, Clifton James. Just saying.
And then Mrs. Goodnight. Yeah.
All right, so head on over to Toxic Tuesday after the show to check that out. CC, what you got going on?
Well, tomorrow's huge with the Disney earnings call.
Yeah.
And
what time does that kick off?
I believe Valiant Renegade is at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so
1
it's
p.m.
after
Pacific.
our show. All right.
But WDW Pro is running a pre-show at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and you can catch me there. So that'll be the first thing. And then Friday, as usual, we sing karaoke. So you can also catch me there.
All right. Anything else got going on tonight, Claudia? Do you have another show tonight, or is that tomorrow?
Not tonight, but tomorrow night. I guess Loki. We should have the comic roundtable at 7. I think 7 Central on his channel. I'll be there if he's having it. But tomorrow night, on Wildcard Wednesday night, I'm continuing Doctor Who month. It's Doctor Who month because it's the 60th anniversary, and the BBC doesn't know how to celebrate it. So tomorrow night, be counting down the ranking all the outro episodes. In other words, each Doctor finale, and then each week I'll do like Monday night I did a show about the history of the Doctor Who comics. So I'll do something each Monday and Wednesday of Doctor Who, of course, and then the week later, Thursday the Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark, and Saturday night Star Trek, of course, with Raquel. Always 9 p.m. Central, Clobbering Times. And thanks for having me, buddy.
Always. And we got another super chat here from Jason Webster, who says, just booked my ticket for Godzilla -1. Can't wait to see it. Oh, I should see if it's I think they're getting it at the one IMAX. December 1st, I think it has limited run here in the US, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be shown on some IMAX screens and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out, see if I can go see that. Thank you for the reminder, Jason. So yeah, check that out, guys. And with that, I unfortunately have not seen that Bond movie you're watching tonight. I'm not sure if I even seen Live and Let Die.
Love Live and Let Die. It's a great one.
I've only seen the first 5.
Let's see Live and Let Die and just do it next week.
I've only seen the first 5. Maybe. I'm not a big Bond person. I'm all right with it.
That's true. Yeah, you've made your case on that, so it's all good, brother.
Yeah, if I had grown up with it, maybe, but
yeah,
to me good, now, man. The best Bonds are the ones that are like the goofier ones that people like.
In that case, would love Live and Let Die.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you like Roger Moore. That's right up your alley.
Right.
Yeah, I love Roger.
Well, that's
Moore.
what everybody was saying is you're just getting to the good stuff, because the last one I liked was You Only Live Twice or whatever I think it was.
Yeah.
That's the one that's,
Live and Let Die is and imagine that they would not be able to make that today, for one thing.
Oh yeah,
they filmed that down here in my neck of the woods.
There's a few things with the Man with the Golden Gun you can't do it today.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely be covering that ground very well tonight. So that will be fun.
Cool.
Yeah. But
that's right. I know I'm gonna hop over to Rancor Steve's for a little bit though and say hi.
Oh, and
they're having an anniversary. So that's on Rumble.
Nice.
Yeah. A Manorama.
It's a great show.
We gotta get him and his man dudes on Talk Tuesday for the ultimate manly panel.
You're not only half wrong here, E-Clay. I have not seen it, but I do have the 4K digital set. They never came on 4K Blu-ray yet. But
what's that?
The Bond films. The only ones that are on 4K Blu-ray are the newer ones.
Yeah.
But you can get them all digitally 4K. Although it's questionable what source they were scanned from.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But there you go. All right. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll watch because I do like the song. I know the song.
That one you might find amusing. I don't even if you're not a Bond fan, but you never know. If you like Roger Moore, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it might take some getting used to, because I really kind of got attached to Sean
Connery.
Connery.
Oh yeah,
but
he's the man.
Because I think I watched the one with Lazenby. Which one's
Her
that
Majesty's
one?
Secret Service. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not care for that one as much, and I know that's some people's like favorite one.
I've heard that it's weird. I mean, why they like that? I mean, it's okay, but he's no Connery.
Oh, script had to run.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, yeah, you might find me pop in over there. So that's on Rumble though. So keep that in mind. Yeah, not only is it compressed as well, yeah. And it's probably from like scans from not necessarily the negative. Maybe it's from the negative. I don't even remember how good they are. It's been a while since I watched them. So I was originally watching them in to lead up to the new Bond film, but I didn't get them all done in time. So, all right, kids, I'm gonna get out of here. See you guys later. Take care of yourselves and each other. Thank you, everybody on the panel, for being here tonight. Thank you to all the mods in the chat. We appreciate it. Did I learn anything tonight? I think.
Yeah.
No more Tom knows.
Well done.
All right. Good night, kids. Toxic to save 10%.